Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. David Staples of the Edmonton Journal here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome,
Hey,
Bruce.
David. Hey, David. How are you doing?
Good. What a difference a day makes. Big win
I'll
by the
say.
Oilers, 4-1. They looked well. They had a lot going for them tonight. They did seem to be putting in from the start of the game. They were the better team, and they popped 2 power play goals in the first period. So the game was never really in doubt too much after that. 2 early goals in the second period. Leon Draisaitl's domination continues. Mike Smith handled pretty much everything that came his way. So, Bruce, we're going to do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. What's your good thing?
Well, my good thing's going to be Leon Draisaitl, and as you say, his domination of the proceedings tonight, and in many different facets of the game. I'm going to focus on maybe 2 plays. One was the actual, not a power play goal. It was scored 3 seconds after the guy emerged from the penalty box. But the Oilers' power play was in fine fettle, and you know what? That power play was not running through Connor McDavid. It was running through Leon Draisaitl. They kept feeding him at the top of the right circle. He kept holding the puck, looking, fending off guys, picking his spots and feeding the dish, And on the one sequence was from 1:01 left in the power play to 3 seconds after it ended. Leon took the first shot, which was a one-time bomb that knocked the goalie stick out of the goalie's hands. It was such a rocket. Nearly scored there. Second thing he did that I really liked was he absolutely busted his ass back towards Oilers territory on the back check when it looked like Columbus might have a 2-on-1 from a broken play after that shot. And he skated full steam towards his own net, same speed as he would towards the other net. I love that in any player. And it was a nice example of it there. And then he retrieved the puck behind his own net, carted it all the way up the ice into Columbus territory, dished it off. Puck went back to him 5 more times, and 5 different times he dished it off. And finally, he set up the chance at the side of the net where in the scramble on the rebound, RNH made a great pass back to Leon, boom, into the net. And it was like he had 8 handles of the puck in 60-odd seconds and was just in control. He was the man on that sequence, and the whole play went through him, and it was just something to see.
He's a better half-court player than Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
He controls the puck better, passes it slightly better. They're both really excellent passers of the puck.
Yeah.
He shoots it better. McDavid's a much better kind of 200-foot player, I think, or a better 200-foot player. But in that offensive end, when you're killing a penalty or setting up your attack on the power play, Draisaitl is the guy who I think should get the majority of the touches because that's his game. He's able to just dissect a team with his passing and obviously crush them with his shooting. So
and you have, and then you have McDavid as your utter wild card factor, flitting around the outside of the play, utterly deadly and capable of burying or making the key play at any moment. But the play wasn't going through him. At least it sure wasn't in sequences I watched tonight. The second sequence of Draisaitl was a very critical part of tonight's game. I thought hugely important when the Oilers were ahead 4-1 and they took 2 penalties 13 seconds apart and they had to kill a 2-man disadvantage late in the second. Columbus scores there. There's life in them, and who knows, right? They'll have cut the lead in half before the end of the second. They send out Leon as a choice, 3-on-5. He's a first choice. We saw it already earlier this year. He wins a face-off. They clear the zone. He tacks the puck in the neutral zone and disrupts the rush. Then twice the puck gets into Edmonton's territory, and there's a loose puck, and Leon wins the puck battle and golfs it out of the zone. And minute and 21 seconds of that shift he killed, and I think the only Columbus shot came at the very tail end of that entire sequence when somebody shot it into Mike Smith's breadbasket.
Seth Jones, and it wasn't. I didn't even see it as a grade A shot. It was from
Hmm.
outside the kill zone. And
But the Killers did, and then the defense. I mean, Nurse had a great shift then as well, and made a couple of big shot blocks. But uh, Leon, I mean, he's an all situations player. I mean, 3-on-5. I mean, obviously power play. He's one of the deadliest power players going. 3-on-3 overtime, deadly. 5-on-5. Like it's a guy. He's a monster of a player, and we're still finding out how good. But on nights like this, man, it seems like the sky is the limit.
so my good thing, Bruce, was the defensive pairings, and I'm going to suggest that the return of another puck-moving defenseman in Persson made a huge difference to the Oilers. In the last 7 games with Persson out, Bruce, the Oilers have scored just 9 goals, and their even strength offense had just completely dried up. And so having Persson out did a couple things. Obviously, it inserted Brandon Manning, who sure tries hard, but is no kind of puck mover. And him and Benning, when they're out there together, the offense dries up. It also puts Chris Russell on his offside with Oscar Klefbom, and that's also doesn't work great in terms of puck moving. The Oilers,
No,
Bruce, the Oilers will win a Stanley Cup, Bruce, when they have 3 pairs of defensemen who can move the puck. They've got to get 3 pairs of defensemen. So what I saw tonight was Nurse and Bear are starting to just develop some real chemistry out there together, some confidence, knowing where the other guy is, moving the puck back and forth. It's kind of a joy to see, actually. And I when Larson comes back, I'll be astonished and probably a little bit appalled if they put Larson back with Nurse, because Bear, the chemistry those two players have is just tremendous. And again, Nurse needs to be with a superior puck mover, superior hockey IQ player to play his best game. And he doesn't do that with Larson, doesn't come close. The second pairing with Klefbom and Persson actually did very well. Persson looked, it wasn't a hard game for him. Columbus didn't put on a lot of pressure, didn't have a lot of intensity, but he played well. And I don't know if Persson is the long-term answer, but I do know that he's the right style of player that they need. So there's a second kind of one that maybe they'll develop. What if they develop the same kind of chemistry in the next 20, 30 games that Bear and Nurse have right now? So then you have the third pairing, and Russell on his left side is a much different player and a much more effective puck mover. I don't think either Russell or Benning are the long-term answer for the Oilers' third pairing because of their puck moving ability. I just don't think it's at the right level. It's possible that if Benning got with a really superior player, puck mover like Caleb Jones, that it might work out. And that, I'll tell you what, if they have another injury, I do not want to see Manning back in. They've got to call up Caleb Jones and put him in the lineup, in my opinion. Because again, when the Oilers finally get 3 pairs of puck-moving defensemen, they will win the Stanley Cup. They will win the Cup, Bruce. They can do that. This team can do that, but they need to have that kind of push from the back end. Makes all the difference.
yeah, well, yeah, having 3 good pairs is the cat's meow, as we know when the Oilers were a successful team. They were 3 deep in pairs, and they they had no real weak link. I mean, there was a clear third pairing, but they were still pretty darn good and reliable. And they you can't have a weak link really if you want to challenge for the Cup, unless you're the 2007 Anaheim Ducks and you have 3 guys that can play 30 minutes a night, and you can hide everybody else for the other 30 combined minutes. But that was a pretty unusual situation. I did like the righty lefty thing. I was getting a little fed up watching Chris Russell coughing the puck up to the other team. In the neutral zone, often he got it out of the zone, but never really under control. It seemed like so often it would just be what I call a punt, change of possession. You gain field position, but you lose the ball. In football and hockey, it's the same kind of play. Dump it out into the neutral zone, gain a little bit of time to reorganize, but you don't have the puck. And that's a very kind of reactive kind of game.
You know what's really worked, Bruce, is when they have that kind of this formation with these 3 pairings, which I think are adequate to make the playoffs. Like if these guys can stay healthy, this is an adequate group. they have that. They're continuing to move the puck up the middle of the ice in the defensive zone and looking for that. And it's something that we didn't see nearly as much last year. But constantly during the game, they're making that play, passing it into the middle of the ice, getting it out of the zone, passing it even cross ice, getting it out of the zone. And it's just it's kind of refreshing, and it continues to be. It's kind of an ongoing thing. It hasn't burnt them very much at all, and it's made a big difference to the team. So that's something that Dave Tippett and Playfair have really. Jim Playfair have really stressed, so good for them.
I thought it was most really apparent in the third period. The Oilers came out in the third period a little tentative, and for the first 5 or 6 minutes up the first TV timeout, I thought they were spending too much time back on their heels without the puck. And then all of a sudden, they just took command of the puck again. They started winning battles. They started to aggressively attack the puck in all three zones. They started to play with the puck in all three zones, and the fire was out. Columbus generated nothing. In fact, I'm not sure they had any real good chances the whole third period, and it was textbook how they closed it out. And I think the righty lefty defense pairings had something to do with that.
Do you have a bad thing? Kind of hard to pick a bad thing, eh?
Hard to pick a bad thing, although I'll default to the injury to Riley Sheehan. Hate to see injuries to any player, and even one that's slumping, as I would say he probably was. They were able to withstand the shorter bench. They double shifted McDavid a little bit with his line mates of Granlund and Patrick Russell. But losing a guy after 4 minutes of action,
and a dirty hit.
Who knows for how long? Yeah, it was. Yeah,
he hit him in the numbers from behind his head into the boards.
Yeah,
I think that's a dirty hit in the NHL these days.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my bad thing, is losing a guy to injury. You can't really count the ref getting in the way of the puck all night long as a bad thing, can you?
He got bowled over too by a player.
I have to admit, I laughed when Tim Peel
hit the
ice at one time. He's nobody's favorite. He's widely reviled around the league. He's the Joe West of the NHL.
Is that a baseball umpire?
That's a baseball umpire, and a very aggravating one that has a combative relationship with every manager and team in the league.
So my bad thing is there was a couple fourth line or third line guys like Gagne and Kara, who that kind of second line, who played well, and I thought Chiasson and Neal were okay, but I didn't think Haas was fast, but he wasn't strong on the puck, and I'm still waiting to see a Marcus Granlund hustle, like really dig in. And Haas digs in. He was a little tentative with the puck, but I like his skill, and we're probably going to see more of him now if Sheahan's out.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing it with Granlund, Bruce. I'm just wondering, what is this player going to do to help the Oilers win? So it's kind of like the Yurcho situation where you just really wonder, is this going to work out? You bring in 7 or 8 of these third, fourth line guys, and you just need a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them, to really pan out, and that's a great average. You've really succeeded. But so it's not surprising when some of them don't make it. But we're starting to see that with Granlund, and of course lots of fans are grumbling about him, and this game didn't do much to change that. He just doesn't seem to dig into the play.
And some bad luck there on the one Columbus goal when his stick broke out blocking a shot. He was doing his job in the shooting lane, blocked the shot, and the stick cracks off. And now he got a 3.5 against 5 for about minute and a half, and you haven't got the necessarily the guys you choose to have out there at that point. And eventually, they coughed the puck up and into the net it went. But it was. He doesn't bring any offense. He does have a modicum of defensive game, but he played 16 minutes tonight, Marcus Granlund. They leaned on him quite a bit, especially when you consider that his center was out for part of it. But,
well, they wanted to give lots of ice time to everybody, right?
Yeah.
So ride the really good players in a game where you're up. It
was nice they were actually able to close out the game without having to ride their stars down the stretch really at all, and they got a bit of a breather in the last 10 minutes especially.
What's your number, Bruce?
I'm going to go with Oscar Klefbom's stat line tonight. I liked Oscar's game tonight. I thought he looked way better with Joel Persson than he's looked for some time. And he was more engaged. I thought he was challenging on the puck and defensively and offensively both. Here's his stat line for tonight: 77 Klefbom plus 2, 27 minutes, 19 seconds, 7 minutes and 8 seconds on the power play, which was successful, 3:15 on the penalty kill, just under 17 minutes even strength, 5 shots, 11 shot attempts, 4 block shots, and a hit. Like he
Nice.
was very involved in the game at both ends of the ice, and uh, so that plus 2, you gotta like that. So
It'll be interesting when Larson comes back, if no one else is hurt, and that's a big if because players, NHL defense, are
mhm.
always getting hurt, what they're going to
Yep.
do. But I mean, if Persson and Klefbom, this is obviously a huge opportunity right now for Joel Persson to establish himself with Klefbom and have some success there. I wouldn't mind seeing honestly a shutdown pairing, kind of you could call it your third line pairing, but just when you're in some tough situations and you need a gritty stop, have Russell and Larson together.
Hmm.
Now you might worry about the puck. I would worry about the puck moving ability of that pairing, but I don't think Larson's any worse than Benning. The move you'd expect them to make would be to put Persson with Russell and Larson with Klefbom, which would be fine as well, probably. But Klefbom and Larson haven't had a lot of success since the
Lately.
17 playoffs together. And if Persson and Klefbom are killing it, that'll be interesting to see what they do. My number, Bruce, is 27 out of 49. So Leon Draisaitl, he's there's a lot of talk, and there should be a lot of talk about it. Whether his scoring is sustainable. Can a guy keep shooting at he shot at 22% last year. He's at
Mhm.
least 22 now, 22%. For the average forward shoots at 10 to 11%. Now over his career, Draisaitl has shot at about 16%. So we know that he's a judicious shooter for one thing. He doesn't shoot a lot of pucks unless he thinks he can score. So that's one of the reasons he has a higher shooting percentage. But nonetheless, that's a fairly high shooting percentage. So what 27 though out of 49 represents is out of his 49 shots, Bruce, 27 have either been breakaways or one-timer shots. 27 out of 49.
Wow.
That's an extremely high
Mhm.
percentage of that kind of shots. So there's been 20 one-timers and 7 breakaways. Tonight he scored on 2 one-timer shots. And the reason we're tracking breakaways and one-timers this year is to try to dig into how, a player like Draisaitl in a way, like the high shooting percentage. What does it really mean? Is he just lucky, or is actually this guy just finding a way to get off extremely dangerous shot after shot after shot after shot? And those shots don't go in at a 10 or 11% league
Oh,
average rate. They go in at a 33% rate.
wow.
So um, that's I don't know if he can keep getting this many one-timer shots, but this is why he's scoring that many goals. He just has incredible shot quality.
Well, he's 12 goals now on 49 shots, so he'll be running just around 24.5% after tonight's game, after last year's 21. You think, well, that's just unsustainable. But what I see constantly is heavy, accurate, quick release from good shooting positions off of very often very good setups. Like you've got the whole basket of what you want in terms of a dangerous shooter. And I know I spent a chunk of for the day in training camp just focusing on Leon as he worked on his one timers and worked and worked and worked and worked on his one timers at the end of the ice I happened to be sitting at. And he had the guy feeding over pass after pass after pass. And some of them were behind him, and some were in front of him, and some were in his feet, and some were in the air. And man, oh man, just time and time and time again, he would get something on the puck and get it on the net. And it was just something that he's basically worked tirelessly at. And he's become now, I would say, one of the very most feared shooters in the league. I mean, Ovi obviously is the guy, But Leon is kind of tending in that direction from what I'm seeing this last couple of years. Wow.
So Ovechkin has 70 shots right now, and
Yeah, he's a
Draisaitl,
volume shooter.
he's a volume shooter. So, and this is the difference with Leon is that he really he doesn't like to shoot unless he really thinks he can score. He's just not someone who's just going to throw it at the net. That's not his game. He's going to hold the puck and make a play because he can, because often he does. So he's an interesting guy, and that's another reason that shooting percentage is a little higher because he's not like Ovechkin who's firing it well. Patrick Laine, how many shots does he have? Can't.
Yeah,
And
and anyway, he'll shoot the puck quick, but if he can't shoot it quick, his tendency is to hold it and pass it.
Yep.
And it's not often that you'll see him just hang on to the puck and then wing it in from outside. It's just not his game. He'd rather make a play with it. And he's bringing back very happy memories to me of an old favorite of mine named Yari Curry.
Sure is.
Yari Curry, who used to be the 3v5 penalty killer for the Oilers and sort of the all-event specialist. And he was the sidekick on the first line, as some people see Leon to this day. But he was a sidekick that had so much game and could do everything. And he was like the perfect foil. And in the current case, I mean, he's a different type of player than Curry, certainly. Not a right-hand shot, but he's got brings so much to the game. Yari Curry, he shot over 25%. 25%, 4 years in a row. It wasn't like an accident. It wasn't unsustainable. It was sustainable because he was in that perfect set of circumstances where he was firing quick, accurate, heavy shots from good shooting positions being set up by sublime passers. I mean,
and you know what we're gonna see next, Bruce. Oscar Klefbom isn't long for the Oilers power play. I'm gonna say, okay, like he's functional there. But how many times do I see him pass the puck over to Draisaitl, and then Draisaitl, instead of being able to one-time it, has to readjust to get the pass because so he has to reset, pass it. Like it's just not quite there. So we're soon going to see either Ethan Bear, Evan Bouchard in years to come probably, or even Joel Persson maybe. We'll see how this player develops. Maybe he won't pan out. Maybe he'll be in the AHL next week.
He's a power play specialist in the Swedish league, and
he was. So yeah. So I just think
let's see.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing. Is Draisaitl's just going to get set up a little bit better from the point for one-timer shots, and that's going to be. I'm looking forward to that.
Or setting up one-timer shots from the point
to a right-handed.
Assists are good too, right? Assists are as good as a goal. Anyway, if you go to the NHL.com site right now, click on stats. On the front page, you get 2 pictures of Leon Draisaitl, leading the league in goals, leading the league in points.
And 26th
and as you
in
said
salary.
Today, 26th in salary. I'm going to have to update that little tweet I sent you earlier saying third in points, 4th in goals, and 26th in salary. Well, now it's first and still 26.
He is the Oilers' best player right now, and saying a lot, of course, but I think it is a fair comment.
You're not the first person that said that to me tonight, and I may even said it myself at one point.
Oh, you did. In my first power rankings in early October, after the first couple games, I actually had him as the best player because he started out that way, and it's maintained. So that's a pretty amazing accomplishment.
At this point, he has 25 points, including 12 goals, 11 primary assists, and 2 secondary assists. So it's either been the goal or first assist on 23 of the 25. Like, it's not like he's getting cheap points by passing to McDavid and letting McDavid make the big play, other pass, right? It's bought and paid for. 23 primary points is a lot.
And when he, this is the main caveat, when he puts his mind to it, he is a defensive monster, right? Like, he's just fantastic in his own zone, but he doesn't always put.
That's true. He's got. I'm liking to think that kind of player. I used to watch them in the past too. That have the defensive game that can apply it in the playoffs when you need to bring it. And I remember, for instance, a guy like Mark Messier, who's also somewhat of a comparable player in certain ways. who would drive you nuts with crazy, insane risks that he would take during the season, but in the playoffs he became more of a two-way ace. And and once he was laser focused on the game, heaven help the other guys.
Draisaitl reminds me of well, like three 1970s players. So the three, they will have three 70s references here: Yakushev, Nedomansky, and Esposito. And he, I don't know if Espo had that backhand pass like Draisaitl at one time, but they're kind of different. Yeah, he's more of a Yakushev kind of attacker. Leon is than he is an Esposito, but he moves. He's hulking like Esposito was and dominating like Esposito was. So he's moving in some pretty good company.
I was going to make another 70s sports reference and another Leon reminder, different realm of hockey, but a dominant German player, Erich Kuhnhackl, who absolutely filled the net for Germany for years and years at the international level and dominated the German league for years.
I never saw him.
He was a huge man, bigger. I think he was like 6'5", and in the day when 6'5" was rare. But he had that calmness with the puck that he knew no one was going to take it off him, and he was going to make the play he wanted to make. And that's the part that I was seeing a little bit tonight in number 29.
Indeed. All right, let's leave it. Where's the next game, Bruce?
Saturday morning.
11 a.m.
Get ready for 11 a.m. at Pittsburgh. And you want to talk about your rookie defenseman? Let's see how they're looking on Saturday morning when they line up against Sid the Kid and his band of sidekicks. And that'll be the test. I mean, they'll have to play and succeed defensively against very top-level opponents at some point along the way.
Malkin may be back for that game. I think I read somewhere. And you know what? That actually encourages me. It's against Crosby. Because otherwise you might, like if it was just against some other team, they might not, you'd think it's an early game, they might not be up for it. But because I think it's Crosby, they're going to be up for it. They're going to be good to go. So that'll be exciting. So. Yeah, let's hope so. Thanks, Bruce. Yeah, I agree. All right. Thanks for talking tonight, Bruce.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.